little bit about Saskatoon University and how this throne speech is going to help guide us for the next year. Of course, you know, when people ask me, how do you like your job? How do you like what you do, Mr. Speaker? I tell them that every day I'm blessed to come into this place and do the work that we do, and affect the changes and the policy that we have in this place. And I tell them that I'm very blessed and I'm very thankful for what I'm able to do here. And of course, we don't do that alone. As you've heard before, there's a number of people behind us working with us, and I'd like to say a few thank yous. First of all, to my family. I've got a very supportive family. It's a fairly big family, but everybody kind of pulls together and does what needs to be done, especially when we're down here in this place. It's not so bad when we're up in Saskatoon, but you know, my partner Donna Lynn looks after the house and cuts the grass, and hopefully she shoveled the walk today. Well, I hope. I have to hope, right? I have to hope she did. I don't think she did, but I have a feeling that that didn't happen today. I also have, or maybe my son Connor, who's 21, has shoveled the walk today because that actually should be his job. Is that better? It should. Okay, good. Too late. Good. Too late. My son Connor is 21 and he's becoming a pilot, and for that I'm very thankful. Hopefully he'll give us. Hopefully he'll give us some quick rides to various places throughout Saskatchewan. And then we've got our three daughters, Danielle, Abby, and Rebecca, and they are busy. They're grade 9, 10, and grade 7, and they all play soccer, and they all play futsal, and they are involved in their school sports, and they're involved in everything under the sun. It seems like they've got a very active social life, and they keep us on our feet, and there's not a day that goes by that one of them isn't doing something or off doing something fun with their friends. So they are very busy young ladies, but they also do a lot around the house. So I'm thankful for them. And of course, my CA, Maddie, does the yeoman's work in my office, as I'm sure everybody else's CA does in theirs. She keeps me on time and gets me to where I need to go when I need to be there. She looks after all the correspondence that comes into the office, and you know, every week, every Friday, she keeps me informed on everything that's going on in our office. She sits me down and we have about a half-an-hour meeting, and she tells me exactly what I need to do and when I need to do it. It wouldn't be a reply to the throne speech without me mentioning our caucus staff as well. I've been blessed to become the caucus chair, and we work with fabulous staff. And the member from Saskatoon Centre always reminds me of how good our staff is up in the caucus office. They look after all of our communications, and they look after any member statements and all that fun stuff. And you know, we're very blessed to have them working with us. And I just want to, you know, give them a big shout out because they deserve it. So up there we've got Taylor, we've got Kim, Chantel, Lee, Haley, Michael, Carly, Kendall, and of course John, the leader. And we couldn't do our jobs here on this side of the house without them. We also have our house leadership team, who I quite frankly don't know when they sleep, because they always seem to be working, and that's Michelle Lang and Kelly Oleniak. They do a lot of work for us in house leadership. And of course, Mr. Speaker, the people of Saskatoon University. I have a very diverse community that I represent, and I'm very thankful for that. We have people from all walks of life, from all professions, And each and every one of them, of the communities that I represent, are unique. We have 5 distinct community associations. We have 5 distinct areas within Saskatoon University, and I'm blessed to represent them all. They all bring a little bit of something different to the table when we have discussions, and I think that by listening to each and every one of them, my vision and my view becomes even more broad, and the way that I represent those people here in Regina just grows every year. Yeah. And so now, while we're talking about growth, Mr. Speaker, and why it's important that our province grows, and what are the benefits of that growth. And it's it's pretty simple to see from our point of view what the benefits of growth is or are. The purpose of growth is to secure a better quality of life for all the people here in Saskatchewan, and we can look back and see what some of the benefits of that growth were. Over the past 12 years, of course, we've seen more hospitals, doctors, nurses, shorter surgical wait times, more schools, teachers, and funding for education, lower personal income tax in Saskatchewan, people keeping more of the money that they earn, safer highways, more police officers, more long-term care beds, and tripling the seniors' income plan benefit, more childcare spaces, more funding for post-secondary education, doubling of funding to municipalities, and over 70,000 students benefiting from the graduate retention program after graduation, just simply by staying in Saskatchewan. So when we look at some of the investments that our government has made over the last 12 years, I can start in Saskatoon. Revenue sharing in 2007 was dismal, and we made a commitment on this side of the House when we were fortunate enough to form government in 2007, and we have more than doubled that to $45 million last year, Mr. Speaker. And that allows the City of Saskatoon, and of course as a former City Councillor, I can see where that money was spent. That allowed us to fund various programs. We could spend that money as we saw fit, and we did in our roads and in our recreation services and in our infrastructure. In Saskatoon, we were also fortunate enough to have a couple of new bridges, and in the traffic bridge and the Chief Mistawasis Bridge that were opened just last year. And that's also a benefit of growth. We needed those bridges. We needed those. The new route to get across to the north end, where most of the employment is, and of course most of the people live over on the east side of Saskatoon, and so we needed that. It was probably overdue, but we got that done, and because of our government's investments in those areas, Saskatoon has certainly been the beneficiary of that. And then, we just this year opened the Jim Pattison Children's Hospital, and what does that mean for the people of Saskatchewan and the people in Saskatoon? And I can tell you that it was through the hard work of a lot of different people, Bryn Boback Lane for one, who had that vision to carry through just to last year. We've got the new hospital that has 176 new beds. It's got, we've got 70 physicians that are going to be operating in that hospital. It's going to mean, for me personally, Mr. Speaker, it's going to mean that my niece will be able to stay in Saskatoon, stay in Saskatchewan, and get the care that she needs. I've spoke about it often in this place, but my brother and his family have had to travel all over North America, actually, to get some of the services, and they won't all be there in Saskatoon, but a lot of the specialists that little Anna is going to need in the next few years can be located right in Saskatoon, and that just takes the stress off of the whole family, whether it's my mom that has to go and travel with my brother's family to Edmonton or Philadelphia or Calgary for these procedures for Anna. That causes stress on everyone, and it's not only financial, but it's mental stress as well. So I'm very happy that our government has saw fit to invest in over $250 million in that hospital, because it will truly make a difference here in Saskatchewan and in Saskatoon. One of the highlights of where I represent, Mr. Speaker, is obviously the university. And I get to spend a lot of time at the university almost every single week. I'm there for at least one day. And despite the parking challenges that they have and the frustration that we have with the parking, it's a pretty neat place, and they're doing fantastic work there. And that's why, you know, I'm proud that our government invests in the university. We don't understand exactly how many things go on at the university and how diverse and how vast the things that they are doing there, whether it's research in technology, or whether it's research in medicine, whether it's services that they're providing. Last week we had an opportunity to tour Vito Intervac. And you know, a lot of people probably won't know about Vito Intervac if they've never been told about it. But it's a fantastic, it's a level 3 infectious disease facility that you can go into, but you have to gown up and you have to wear the big masks and all those things, because they're dealing with stuff that none of us really want to deal with. They're dealing with the Zika virus. They're dealing with the swine flu that's happening in China and decimating their swine herds. And you know, it's cutting edge research, and they will come up with a vaccine or with an antidote to the swine flu, I assume, very quickly. You know, we invest in our universities, and in the U of S just last year, it was $331 million in operating funding. We invested almost $88 million in the College of Medicine to ensure that the college is successful, to provide that quality medical education, to keep those doctors here, to keep them here in Saskatchewan and get them practicing here. You know, there's a bunch of different things in here, Mr. Speaker, but you know, in 2009, for instance, there was $15 million for U of S new resident funding for graduate students. And you know, the list just keeps going on and on for our university. You know, they are involved in so many different things, whether it's athletics, whether it's research, whether it's innovation, what have you, Mr. Speaker. There's a number of things happening at the university that are very exciting. Like I said, I'm there probably at least once a week for an announcement or for new research that's coming out, and I'm happy to see that our university is thriving. I'm fortunate to work with a lot of good people over there. Dr. Peter Stoichev is one. You know, all the different deans, Michelle Prytula, Peter Bonham-Smith, Suzanne Cresta, all those deans that are doing really great, innovative work over at the university. Can't say enough about Sarah Daniels, the government relations director at the university, who always helps us navigate what is the university bureaucracy. You know, Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of good things in this throne speech, and I can't speak to all of it, but some of the things that I took out, and we don't say enough, is about education. You know, we hear a lot about how education, you know, is a big deal in our province, and I agree. I agree it is, but we have to also put everything in context and take a look at what exactly is going on. You know, part of the benefits of growth is that we have more students, more kids in our classrooms. And last month actually, 191,000 pre-K to grade 12 students started their school year here, and I've got 3 of them in my family. That's an increase of almost 27,000 students since 2007, Mr. Speaker, something that we didn't see for many, many years prior to that. But in that same period, operating funding to the schools has increased by 34%. And investment in school capital is nearly 5 times higher. Well, Mr. Speaker, there's a whole discussion going on about education, and I think that's really a good positive step. I think the more we talk about it and the more people that we bring into that conversation, the better the outcomes will be, and I think the better decisions that we'll make. But we need to deal with facts, and we need to deal with reality as well. So, you know, a growing province needs a well-educated workforce, and that's when our post-secondary education field or post-education partners, post-secondary education partners come into play, and that's why in Saskatchewan, operating funding has increased more than 50% in the last 12 years. There's 80,000 students enrolled in Saskatchewan's universities and technical colleges this year, and 9 out of 10 post-secondary graduates are now choosing to stay and work in Saskatchewan after graduation. I think that's a fantastic number. That is a number that we haven't heard or we didn't hear about for 16 years because, you know, to be quite frank, when people graduated from high school, they left here. Luggage was the #1 high school graduation gift, and people just up and left, and that happened over and over and over. And now, talking to the dean of the Edwards School of Business, 87% of their graduates stay here and work in Saskatchewan, and that's a low number. That's a conservative number, but 87% of his students stay here and work here. Yeah, they do. Mr. Speaker, I think I'll close with a couple of more things that are important. And we want to talk about legislation that we're going to bring in the next in this session. And there was one that caught my eye, and I'm just trying to find it here. But last spring, we had a reception here at the legislature, an MLA reception. We go to a lot of them. We go to one almost 2 or 3 every week. But one of them was a group of students, Mr. Speaker, and they came down to talk to us about the vaping and how you vape and what's in vaping and what it all entails. And it was really informative. Myself, I had very little to do with vaping in the past, and I hadn't heard anything about it really. And all of a sudden, these young people were educating me, and so I took the opportunity to listen and learn a little bit about vaping and what it does and what it was intended to do, and how you vape, and it really caught my eye that these young people were so passionate about it and so informed about it, and they really done their homework about what exactly vaping was. And so, with the help of their instructor, Jennifer May, they brought forward a pretty persuasive argument on why vaping should be regulated, why vaping is not healthy, especially for young people. Now, I understand that vaping was brought in to help people like myself quit smoking. Hasn't worked yet, but maybe it will. And I understand that, but I think the conversation or the direction of vaping has turned a little bit. And so I was really happy to see that in this session we're going to bring in legislation around vaping and perhaps controlling it a little bit and keeping it out of the hands of people like my 3 young daughters who are in high school. They don't need to start vaping. They don't need to start smoking. And hopefully we can help with this legislation. So that's all I really have to say for today, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the time. I won't be supporting the amendment if that was even in question, and I will be supporting the throne speed. Thank you.